Since the TSA's new screening procedures were introduced last fall, there's been no shortage of horror stories about intrusive rope downs and Chertoff porno scanners that leave very little to the imagination. Now some of the nation's largest airports are responding to the outrage expressed by air travelers by replacing TSA agents with what they consider to be more passenger-friendly private security contractors. In fact, the Washington Post reports that 16 airports, including major hubs like San Francisco, Kansas, and Kansas City International Airport, made the switch to private security firms since 2002. But any airport that wants to make the switch needs to go through a lengthy approval process with the TSA, and all private contractors must continue to use TSA security procedures, including the pat-downs and the Chertoff porno scanners. Experts say that privatizing airport security wouldn't save the federal government any money, because in addition to paying for the screeners that we already have, we'd be paying for a whole new layer of corporate bureaucracy, the salaries and CEOs and dividends for the stockholders and all that on top of it. But even at that, these people would remain squarely under the control of the TSA. So is this really the answer? Or would transforming the TSA into an oversight agency create even more bureaucracy without solving any of the real horror situations passengers currently face at the airport? Here to offer his take on the issue is Yaron Brook, the president and executive director of the Ayn Rand Institute. Yaron, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Yaron, here's the frame in my mind for this issue. If a police officer stops you driving down the street in Los Angeles and takes offense at your attitude and decides he's going to hit you with a taser, do you want that cop to be an employee of PepsiCo?
No, I want the cop to be a cop, and I think that every airport should have real cops so that when there's a real problem, the government needs to step in and take care of real threats, of real criminals. But that's not what's going on at the airports. We are all being harassed. We are all having our time wasted. The government has no role here to play. And because it's the government, you get into issues like the government shouldn't be allowed to discriminate. Private enterprise should be allowed to discriminate. And discrimination is what we need at the airports. We need to be able to discriminate between people who've been pre-screened and should be allowed.
Well, we're already doing that, Yaron. I mean,
as somebody who travels well over 100,000 miles a year, I can tell you, and as somebody who is well established as an American citizen and not a threat to the American public, I get as harassed as any Muslim male immigrant who's just landed, who stands in front of me in the line. And that's absurd.
Yaron, first of all, I would say, and I have 2 million miles on Delta, 1 million miles on United. In fact, I hit 1 million miles this year. I've been a 1K on United for 7 years. I probably fly as much as you do. And I have seen over and over again, I rarely have a problem going through airport security, and I see people of color being pulled out all the time.
But the big problem
but that's not the issue. The issue is, should anybody be doing this, and should it be being done by private? I mean, why would you want to privatize security at the airport? Why would you want to privatize what's essentially a police function?
If it was a police function, I wouldn't want to privatize it. I'm not for private police. What I am for, I think this is a job for the airlines. The airlines have the economic vested interest. The airlines can compete based on security. Now, we also
That's what we had before 9/11, and they were paying these guys less than people who work at Burger King.
True, but then you cannot, as compared to the TSA, but you cannot then bail the airlines out. You can't, on the one hand, say, you're responsible for this, but don't worry, we've got your downside, just like we do with financial institutions. You have to let them suffer the consequences of their bad decisions. But look...
But wait a minute, when the airlines suffer the consequences of a bad decision, it means all of us die.
Sure,
at least all of us on the plane. You and me, freaking flyers.
Look at all the guys that have gotten onto planes with bombs in their shoes and their underwear, whose father went to the CIA and told them they're terrorists, and they still couldn't get him. So TSA is not a solution to this. What we need is real competition in this area. What we need is to discriminate between passengers who are not a threat and passengers who are a threat. And
I get it. You're all in favor of discrimination, Ron, and that's. I think that's a separate.
What I mind is the hours wasted standing in line while these idiots, try to pat down 8-year-old girls who are clearly not a threat. In
Iran, we agree that the TSA's techniques are beyond the pale, and that's, as I said, a whole other debate. But thanks for being with us tonight, Iran. I appreciate very much your showing up. There you go. It's been my observation that people calling for privatization of the TSA basically fall into two categories. Number one, people who think that the government essentially shouldn't exist other than maybe to run the Army, and even at that, they think it should be largely privatized, even the Army. They call themselves libertarians. And number two, Republicans who correctly see unions as a source of funding for the Democratic Party. And the TSA, by the way, just got authorization to unionize. You can put that 2 and 2 together on this one. Oh, and three, those who think that anything that increases the number of government employees is a bad thing. Frankly, a majority of the voices in the Republican Party and those like Drudge and others on the right who are constantly trashing the TSA are just opposed to a new group of unionized government employees.